pub people, pubbers. It's the Sunday pub again. If you've never been here before and you don't know what this is, it's basically a hangout for bookish people to talk about whatever the hell we want to. Often books, but also various nerdy topics because most of us are fantasy/science fiction fans. And we often get into movies and sometimes video games and other stuff. How is everybody doing? How was everybody's week? Good to be back. Hi, Kale. Kale is traveling right now. Kale, if I remember correctly, is from Perth, an Aussie, but has been sending pictures to the Fireside Discord from Paris and Brussels and wherever. Thornell is here, of course, because it is impossible to have a Sunday pub without Thornell. Good to see you both. How are you doing? The streaming thing is telling me that there are more people here. I am always curious about lurkers, and it's fully acceptable to just sit in the background and watch or listen, but it's always nice to at least say hi, if only because I'm always curious who's here. That's right. I am misremembering. Kale lives in Melbourne, but an Aussie. I got that part right at least. Who else is here? Morton is here. Good to see you, Morton. The cyclone has not hit Germany, and luckily it mostly missed where my family lives in the US. Or the hurricane. Hurricane? Tornado. I can never decide which one's which. I think a hurricane goes across land and a tornado goes across water. Is that the difference? I am ignorant of these things, having not really grown up in places where they're relevant. Although I do have family in North Florida, and they are constantly being hit by things coming up from the Caribbean, which is not so much fun. You may notice that things look a little different. And that is because I am now on Restream instead of StreamYard. Restream, I've paid for 1 month just to try out their cheapest paid plan. Their paid plans allow you to do a little bit more, which gets it up to basically the level of where I kind of was on StreamYard. Only this on Restream costs $19, and this now on StreamYard costs 47 or 45 or 46, which is kind of crazy. Evie, as usual, knows more than me. Hurricane is coming across the ocean. Hi, Alicia. Okay. Thornell wasn't joking. He meant the one coming from Africa, the cyclone. Just past the Balkans, heavy rain and hail. The weather's been pretty normal here in Berlin. I mean, it's been a bit cold for my tastes, but that's normal this time of year. We haven't had any heavy rain or hail or any of those things. Yeah, tornadoes are rarer, apparently. Osa, hi. Welcome to the pub. How am I liking Restream so far? I just played around with it a bit yesterday. I actually think that the interface design is better than StreamYard. It all just has a bit of a easier to use feeling to it, which is nice, because I design interfaces for a living, and I get really irritated with badly designed software. StreamYard, I wouldn't say was badly designed software, but Restream just seems to be a bit better. John Hartman, Lurker. I love it when the lurkers out themselves. Hi, John. I don't think I've ever seen you comment here. I don't know if you've been lurking for a long time, like 30 pubs, or if you're here for the first time, but either way, welcome. Another lurker, Miss Moody. Good to see you. At least you just got power back. I forget where you're from, Alicia. I remember by your accent that I'm sure you're somewhere in the South in the US. But yeah, no, it's been the hurricane's been, what is it? Helene or Helen? Helene, I think it's Helene, has been serious, and I've been watching it because I've been wondering how affected my family over there is going to be. Tori, sadly not joining us today on screen, but that's fine. Good to see you. Napsa Ecola, Lurker, another nefarious lurker. Yeah, it's always good to at least get a hi from people. Originally from right outside Philly. Okay, so not really that south, but living in Tennessee, which is very south. Okay. Ida is not lurking. Ida, I would not call a lurker. Ida has more often than enough given us her hot takes on Silchus Ruin and other things. I'm wearing my Bridge Burners t-shirt just for you Malazan fans. First in, last out. What am I reading? I am reading Lords of Uncreation, the third book in the Final Architecture series or trilogy by Adrian Tchaikovsky. It's good. It's really good. I kind of I think I mentioned this. Wait a sec. I mentioned this last time. I was reading the third of 4 books, technically, in Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn by Tad Williams, called, in some editions, Siege, but in some editions just called Part 1 of the third book, and so on. It's old school. It's Tad Williams. It's a kind of slow thing. It's really good. I've been enjoying it, but I got to the point where I was like, I feel like a change of pace. And then I read the first book of the Final Architecture, which just I raced through the first book. It was so cool. Motley spaceship crew, bizarre intergalactic politics with aliens that humans don't understand hardly at all, and all sorts of good things going on. And when I finished the first book, I was waiting for the second one to arrive, so I started Guns of the Dawn. But then the second one arrived, so I put this on hold, and now I'm reading the third one. And Evie asked me in chat earlier, in DMs, if we would be sprinting today. And I think, yes, indeed, we will be sprinting today, because I really want to get further in this because it's really good. I forgot my light. Yeah, a little mood lighting for the pub. Fourth pub, John. Okay, so you've been really successfully lurking for a while. Cool, welcome. Tall glass of vodka. I'm not sure what that means, Kale. But cheers. What do I think about the cover of Lords of Uncreation? I actually like this one. I think probably just visually the best or the most out of the trilogy. Um, I all, it, all of there's a thing with science fiction covers, and Adrian Tchaikovsky's science fiction books almost all have this thing: a planet and space and a spaceship almost always looks exactly the same to any other planet in space with a spaceship. It doesn't matter what it is. It says very clearly, this is a science fiction book. It doesn't differentiate a science fiction book from another one. It just says, we are science fiction, all of us. And this one goes a little more interesting than that. It's got this thing on there, which, if you've read the books, is very clear what it is. And the ships down here are even very much like, when I saw this cover, I knew which ships they were or where they were from, whose ships they were. And also just the color scheme, yellow and orange together with blue, always has a very harmonious, sort of pleasing effect. If you've ever seen a color wheel, generally putting colors that are across from each other on a color wheel together is very harmonious. So blue is across from orange, and green is across from red, and purple is across from yellow, and those kinds of things. So this one being very yellow and very blue, or very kind of orange and very blue, is very harmonious. But I like this cover, Thornell. Evie's excited I'm reading it. Yeah. Will to Battle, Terra Ignota Book 3. It's really good. Yes, it is really good. I've read 1, 2, and 3. I love particularly the titles, because I'm really disappointed by a lot of fantasy and, well, less so science fiction, but a lot of fantasy titles I think are really boring. And the Terra Ignota books, which are So Like the Lightning, and I forget what the second one's called, and Will to Battle, and I forget what the fourth one's called, but yeah. It's they're much more interesting titles than usual. Black Veil, Green Rider 4. Okay. Hey, Samwise. Good to see you. I'm doing pretty well. I had a pretty lazy day today. I played some video games. I read a fair bit. I did chores, laundry, and tidying up the flat kind of stuff, and spent a lot of time with Fitz asleep on my legs while I was reading. So it was a nice Sunday. You really wanted the special editions from Broken Binding. Special editions of what? Of Final Architecture? I don't remember hearing about Final Architecture special editions. Or are you talking about Sun Eater, which was mentioned elsewhere? Thornell has been checking things out. Never read it. Would have read Sun Eater if it was a spaceship images on the covers. Those covers really sold the series for me. Yeah, exactly. I think it's always kind of cooler. Personally, I like character more, like a space landscape. Like I said, a space landscape always looks exactly the same as any other space landscape. So yeah, kind of boring. Whereas a character says something about the person you're going to be spending a whole bunch of time with. So, yeah, the cover with the big alien thing with horns and sword is the one that sold Sun Eater. The big, oh yeah, for Yeah, I forget which one that is, but yeah, that's a pretty cool looking picture. Those are awesome illustrations. I unfortunately my Sun Eaters all have their UK editions, and they all have man standing on planet with space in the background, basically. Every single one of them, and they're really, really boring and samey. Horrible covers. Evie is reading um, the Third City Watch book? Question mark. I'm not sure what the question mark's for, but if you're asking if it's the third, I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Stopped the Passage by Justin Cronin during French lessons, but those are over. And Kale will resume. I do not know The Passage or Justin Cronin. I've heard of Justin Cronin, but yeah. What am I playing these days? So I was playing Hollow Knight, which is an indie platformer kind of thing that I was catching up on because it's a bit older and I had just missed it. And then I ran into Slay the Spire. Strangely enough, Adrian Tchaikovsky got me into Slay the Spire. Adrian Tchaikovsky and I have been commenting back and forth at each other about various things on Blue Sky. And I said something about loving his books. And at some point, he wrote something about Slay the Spire, which I'd heard of a million times, but I'd never played it or even really looked at it much. And I tried it out, and that has pretty much interrupted all of the other video games I might have been playing because Slay the Spire is hard and really fun. It's a very tricky puzzle. It's basically a series of fights where you're just your character on one side and monster or multiple monsters on the other side. But everything, so it's a roguelike, but everything you're doing is determined by cards that you're collecting. And you're climbing up the spire like you've got a map, and it goes from fight to shop where you can buy cards to another fight to whatever. And depending on which cards you've got, you can defend or attack or do tricky synergies between cards and that kind of thing. And it's addictive, or at least for me it is. Good evening. Oh yeah, Alicia. Memories Heart and Thorn. Yeah, they do look pretty hot. I am looking forward to them. They you haven't missed them. They don't exist yet. They are coming out, and they're coming out as part of the subscription, fantasy subscription, but I'm guessing they're also going for public sale. How did I find Dregs of Empire and Disquiet Gods? Dregs of Empire I found a bit. Oh wait, no. Dregs of Empire is the novella, which I liked quite a bit actually. And Disquiet Gods was mixed. I found the beginning, because of where the previous book leaves Hadrian, there's kind of a lot of bit slowish setup to do in Disquiet Gods before it really gets going. But the last half of it, or 2/3 of it, was excellent, I thought. So yeah. Alicia is rereading Persuasion by Jane Austen. Cool. I actually bought Persuasion not too long ago in the Penguin clothbound. Mostly just because I like Evie a lot and haven't started it yet. Thornall is playing God of War Ragnarok, which is awesome. I loved it, although the previous one was better. And V Rising. Don't know V Rising. Sometimes Book of Hours, which I also don't know. The sequel to Cultist Simulator. Okay. Funny and interesting thing about God of War. I played God of War, and then I played God of War Ragnarok, like the newer God of Wars, not the old ones. I never played those. and loved them, especially the first one. I thought it was amazingly well done. It was the first game I've ever played that had a sidekick that was actually interesting, where there was actually an emotional relationship. Like when the kid in that game is threatened or harmed or whatever, it's an emotional moment. And there are a lot of really nicely built emotional moments between the character you play and the kid. But the main character, Kratos, the god of war, that you play, has this very, very distinctive, deep voice. And I played the hell out of those games. So I spent a lot of time with Kratos and his very distinctive, deep voice. And then just recently, I started watching Stargate SG-1, because back in the day, I never watched any of the Stargates, and they're kind of classics in the nerd sphere. So I wanted to watch them. And I start watching Stargate, and there's this black dude who plays an alien who becomes a good guy, or like joins the humans against the bad aliens. And after a while, I looked the show up on IMDb, and I looked that guy up. What's his name? Christopher Nelson? No, I can't remember. Sorry. I looked the guy up that played the black guy who played the alien. And it says he voiced the God of War character. And ever since I learned that, I feel like I'm watching a human actor being voiced by the video game character because I'm so familiar with the God of War's voice. Evie.
Hello.
Hello.
Whoa, I think I just hit puberty again. Hello.
Your voice is cracking.
Yep.
How you doing?
I'm good. I just finished my lunch, so.
Cool. Persuasion is the most raunchy Austen novel. The characters actually kiss. It's shocking. Okay.
I mean, sure, like, oh my god. Emma is the only Austen novel where the male, there's any declarations of love specifically from one person to the other that's not via a letter, which is amazing. So, fun fact, everyone.
Yeah. If I would like to join your discussion, I assume she means I'm welcome whenever we have it. Yeah, no, we'll see. I think I bought. I sometimes impulse buy a book because somebody's talking about it, and then I forget I've got it. I think I've actually got 2 Jane Austens in the Penguin cloth bound, because those are nice little editions, most of them. But I know I've got Persuasion, because I remember way back when I just met you, Evie. I remember you were talking about it, and you were very convincing that it was worth reading.
I mean, I haven't steered you wrong yet.
That's true.
I'm 1 for 1 with Spear Cups for Water. And
yeah.
You know what? I'm going to take the credit for Final Architecture too. So 2 for 2.
I'm afraid I have to disagree with you there. Pete definitely gets credit for Final Architecture. But
you know what? Give me what I
you get credit for Vanished Birds as well, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty certain I would not have naturally discovered Jimenez without you forcing me by bashing me over the head. Yes, bashing me over the head with the book, multiple editions of the book. Yeah. John Hartman's reading Ishiguro. Cool. That was another impulse. I liked I liked Ishiguro enough when I read Never Let Me Go, and I liked the UK editions enough that I bought all of them because they're like, nobody ever manages this. Like, they all fit so perfectly together. They're just nicely designed and fit perfectly together. So, yeah. Christopher Judge. Christopher Judge is the black guy in the show who plays Teal'c, who is the alien, who also voiced Kratos in the God of War. Wait a sec, what? Best quote never said in God of War. This is not Daniel Jackson. Yes, exactly. Definitely not Daniel Jackson. Definitely not in the God of War. Mansfield Park is the most raunchy, apparently. You're muted.
Sorry, that is fact. Mansfield Park is the sexiest, and which is why the stupid 1999 adaptation tried to make it like super duper sexy. It's not sexy in modern terms. It's sexy of its time.
Compared to everything else she wrote. Yeah. Hi, Joanna. Good to see you here. Hi, Aaron. Good to see you here.
Hi, Samwise. Oh, wait, you said hi, Joanna. But anyways, hi, Samwise.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Oops.
Yeah, he arrived a while ago. Yeah, no, booktubers do get reputations.
Tharnal, I'm offended.
Attached.
It's not, you didn't get me through Spear Cuts Through Water or Vanished Birds. Like, but Don Quixote, I'll take it. So.
It's a pretty classic epic book, so can't complain too much.
It's Downton Abbey sexy.
Yeah, exactly. Namely, not at all really, but yeah. Well, in Downton Abbey, male and female characters do touch each other, but they're always wearing clothes, I think. I don't know if anybody ever really gets it on, as you would call it. Ron. Hi, Ron. How you doing? Ida is excited by anybody in Jane Austen touching each other. So, jumping off to read it right now.
Fair warning. If she's talking about Mansfield Park, it's the love interests or cousins, and that's the makes it
dun dun dun
for little people. Again, for its time, it was allowed. Now it's just like, oh, are you from the southern U.S. in the backwoods?
Yeah, I mean, there's good reasons for that. But I think in a lot of cultures in the world, it's still actually kind of normalish.
I mean, it's technically still legal in the majority of U.S. states.
Yeah, it's just not a good idea.
Socially frowned upon.
Well, and it's scientifically frowned upon.
Downton Abbey has a character called...
Does it though?
Mr. There's Mr. Bates.
Yeah. He's the one the writers never allow him to be happy. Oh, poor Mr. Bates. I feel sad for him. Should we maybe splint?
Yes.
How do we feel about splinting?
I support this.
Yeah, me too. So let's say until the hour, so to speak.
Sounds good.
And everybody enjoy your book. And mute yourself if you're not or are whatever already. And see you later. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing? How's your reading?
I read about 15 pages.
Cool.
Estimated because I don't remember actually what page I started on. So
Shit just got really real in Lords of Creation. Oh my goodness.
how far into it are you?
Uh,
Nice.
so, I mean, it's not really spoilers to say the thing that happens to the eye is happening.
Yeah.
My goodness. It's a little disorienting sometimes. Like if books are really good, if they're really engaging and exciting and immersive, it takes me a little while to come out of it, and to get my context back.
Like, oh, this is the real world. Okay.
Exactly. This is
Dealing with architects and
exactly. We're not in space. There are no ships. There's no unspace. Yeah. Yeah, Samwise, that moving logo is an EV Mux thing. And EV Mux is one of the things with EV's diligent testing last weekend we decided not to go with.
I mean, like Restream is just my preference. Obviously,
I looked at everything as well. I mean, I found it very useful that you were doing tests, but I had a good look at everything as well. And price wise, because I do like to, probably just because I'm a control freaky designer, I do like to, get the colors I want and be able to put my logo up there and, that kind of thing. But
so
yeah.
I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
Also, hello, Pete. And yes, Matt is going to finish before you and Anita.
Nah.
Yeah.
Yes, I am, because I'm already, I don't know, a quarter through it, and it's awesome, and you're missing out.
Yeah.
Read it now.
It's fine. It's fine.
Really good.
Since you paid for a month, like, does it give you the option, like, can you create your own like layouts or whatever? Like, can you change the logo set, like location and stuff?
Well, it's funny. I figured out how to do that. If you just place a logo, it does that. It puts it in the top right.
Mm-hmm.
If you do an overlay and you just make a transparent file that is as big as the screen, it's like 16 by 9 or whatever, and it has the logo in it in whatever corner you want it,
you can put it. Oh, okay.
Then you can move it. So if I turn off the logo and I turn on an overlay I made with the bottom right, then it's there. And if I turn that off and put the other one on, it's up there. So cool. you can move the logo around. You do get sort of layouts like this. These are all sort of default.
Yeah.
Or that, or
yeah, I remember seeing that, but
yeah. And then you've got the ability to create scenes, which I haven't played with that much, which are like this, where I can add another source.
Oh, like another camera or whatever.
Like another camera, or I'm playing a video or something, and I could choose where it is and which one and that kind of thing. But that doesn't have anything to do with the layout, with like the logo and the comments and all that sort of stuff.
Can you customize? I mean, I know you can customize the color of like, and they have like default templates for like how your name appears and how comments show up. Can you customize that as well?
Not in the, I think you can in higher level versions,
but not in the version you have.
The version I have, there's this and there's this, and there's this.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the free version as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it seems like the only real difference between this and the free version is that you can customize colors and maybe you get more that you can do with overlays and whatever. And
And you can stream longer.
you can stream longer, and it takes away the logo, their logo. You know, but otherwise it seems pretty similar to the free version, but it's a lot cheaper than StreamYard.
Fuck you, StreamYard.
Yeah, I don't want to assume ever that anyone is stupid. So I think it's probably strategy that they would actually like to concentrate more on big business clients, customers, like corporate users and that kind of thing. And that clearing out a lot of cheap, not paying very much customers is good for them. So they can concentrate less on that service and more on the high end service. And the free version's still there, and free users have no rights or support, so they can just keep the free thing there and keep it running, but they don't have to put much effort into it, you know?
Yeah.
You're welcome, Ron. I really wanted to sprint, and Evie wrote me like half an hour beforehand and said, "Are we going to sprint?" So yeah,
I demand it.
We were sprint keen. Yunha Lee. I've heard of that book, that author, but I've never read any of it.
I've read Phoenix Extravagant. I thought it was fine. I know Angela.
Fine.
Yeah, it was fine. Again, I don't read to have fun. So
hi, Mac.
Hi, Mac. But I know that Angela from Literature Science Alliance. The first book is Nine Fox Gambit. I don't think it's Machineries of Empire. I don't think that's the name of the series. But the first book is called Nine Fox Gambit. She says it's one of the best military fantasies she's ever read. Or military sci-fi, sorry. She's ever read.
Okay.
So there you go. Pete can second on Nine Fox Gambit.
Yes, Terry, Lords of Uncreation is good. The second book is maybe... I mean, I haven't read the third book complete yet, but I know that Evie has told me that the second book was her favorite. And
is a close second.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that he seems to do really, really well is epic universe-changing shit coming out of nowhere. And it's just like, you've got a bit of setup for it, and then you're like, oh my God, what's going on? And that's just happening in Lords of Uncreation, and it's glorious.
I mean, considering this is the only, like, Final Architecture is the only sci-fi I've read by Tchaikovsky, I'm so excited to read more of his sci-fi because his aliens actually feel alien.
That's kind of his specialty. He really gets into the other perspective.
Yeah. And that's not to say like, oh, they are, you know, weird or whatever. It's just they do not feel human. But at the same time, there's a universality to them at the same time. But the architects for me are absolutely simultaneously terrifying and beautiful. So he really portrays that very well with his descriptions of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the coolest things, I mean, it's probably not unique in sci-fi, but I've never read any sci-fi where humans are coexisting with an alien species that they completely do not understand. Right? They're not even capable of communicating. And they're just lucky that other alien species, for some reason, hasn't decided to kill all of us yet. You know, like the Essiel. They're absolutely terrifying. Thornall, what it's about, I mean, without any spoilers, on the cover here, this is an architect, and basically humanity is in big trouble at one point.
The universe as a whole.
Well, the universe as a whole, yeah, that's true. And there are it's a universe where bunches, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 different species, some of them very, very alien, have met and are either cooperating or at least relatively harmlessly coexisting. And then out of nowhere, one of these architects turn up. An architect is a crystal being that's the size of a moon, and they have such fine powers of gravity manipulation that they essentially turn a planet into a piece of art.
That's literally how it's described, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why they're called architects and not destroyers, because they architect a world and turn it into art. This, of course, kills everyone on the planet pretty much instantly. And there's a big war against them. Yeah, they travel from planet to planet. They only destroy planets with sentient life on them. And they just travel around turning planets into beautiful works of art and killing billions. And that's sort of where it starts. And goes from there. And there's a number of different factions of humanity. There's obviously different factions of alien species. And he writes what Evie was just saying. He writes these other perspectives, like these alien species or humans interacting with various aliens. He writes that extremely well. One of the main characters is a sentient crab. I mean, giant crab. I mean, he's actually quite big.
Kit. I love Kit.
Kittering, yeah. And the whole thing sort of revolves around a motley crew who have a spaceship. They're a motley spaceship crew. And one of them is a complete non-human alien. Yeah.
And if this is the final selling point you need, the name of the crew / ship that they're from is called the Vulture God.
The Vulture God. Yeah. Because they're scavengers. They're yeah, exactly. He's a crab accountant, basically. Right. Yeah.
And it makes sense as you learn about the species as a whole, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, he does aliens better than anybody. CJ Cherry has got some very, very good series with some very, very alien aliens, but even some of her aliens feel a bit too cartoonish or maybe convenient, where they're a bit easier. A lot of the things she gets into is that a lot of her alien species are so similar that they assume things about each other, and they're completely wrong. They make huge mistakes because they can relate and they can learn to speak to each other and all of that. They also assume that they think similarly, and they think very differently in a lot of ways. So there's the Chanur books by her, and there's a huge series. I think it's like 20 books, 22 books now, called Foreigner. The first one I think is called Foreigner, but it's called the Foreigner series. And it's basically a human who is sent to an alien planet as a ambassador, and a lot of his experiences learning their culture and language and all of that. And they are similar on the surface, but very different in the depths. Yeah, exactly. Final Architecture. Sun Eater is, I would say, justifiably popular. It's pretty good. But yeah, you're a much cooler kid if you're reading Final Architecture.
Yes, I mean, Tharnal.
Just
and
look at Pete.
Tharnal, considering you know my taste, Final Architecture, I can't say anything about Sun Eater because I haven't read it. It's sorry, Matt, it's got none of my buzzwords. But Final Architecture also has sad elements to it. So
yes,
very melancholy, and it's a melancholy sci-fi in some ways, but it's still actually fun. Shocking for me to say that, I know.
It's roller coaster fun. Like the first book, I could not put the first book down because it was like every time I thought, okay, now we've reached a thing where it's going to like level out and I can breathe a little.
Nope.
Something else would
Pump
happen
on the gas.
that was epic and dramatic and exciting, and I'd be like, okay, I'll just keep reading a little more until
And
it
wasn't
calms down.
manipulative or anything like that.
No,
It's just,
no, it's just
the way Tchaikovsky
there's a lot
writes,
going
it's
on.
so
Yeah.
natural and compelling, and
it really rolls.
It's amazing. It's like he's got like 40 or 50 books out. It's like he knows how to write or something.
Yeah. Dude publishes like 2 to 4 books in 2 different genres every year.
I cannot tell you how excited I am for the new Tyrant Philosopher's book to come out in December.
I can't tell you how excited I am to meet Adrian Tchaikovsky in a couple days.
Wait, what? Oh yeah, because he's going to Berlin, right?
He will be in Berlin on the 1st of October.
Is it at that bookshop? Bookshop?
Yeah, Otherland. It's not at the bookshop because they're expecting it to be larger than fits in their pretty small bookshop, but they're organizing it in a venue nearby.
That's cool.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Yes, Terry, reading C.J. Cherryh is not a bad idea. I liked the Chandra books a lot. It's basically it's a universe that has, I think, 5 sentient species, if I remember correctly, and humans don't exist. In this particular part of space, humans don't exist, and a ship crew of female cat-like aliens, they're all female, picks up a human, and no one's ever seen a human before. And it's all about, first of all, the psychology of these different alien species, but also then the politics, like the shifting politics, because, oh yeah, humans are a thing, and humans seem to be actually quite powerful and interesting. And it's really interesting because the other in the Chandra books is the human. Right? The main characters, the characters we focus on, the characters we can understand, are the cat aliens. And the human is this weird, naked, no fur, he's really made to look other, and his psychology is shown to be kind of other. But there are actually Thornell, there are actually cat men. But the interesting thing about this race, who are called the Hani? No, I think I'm mixing up Final Architecture. The crabs in Final Architecture are called Hani. But this cat-like race, the women are dominant because men go into killing rages. The male cat people go into these killing rages. They have a very hard time controlling their own emotions, and that's seen as huge weakness. So they're not trusted to be ship captains or ship crew. And there's also a lot of interaction between the sexes in this cat race and stuff. It's really, really, really quite good. I like them a lot.
Nice. Pete, you better be back soon.
Yeah, make sure to mention Guns of the Dawn and how excited you are for him to write a sequel. Yeah,
which, by the way, did you just set that aside so you can, and you're going to pick that up once you finish Lords of Creation, or?
Yeah, exactly. I will only 2 chapters. Very little. I thought I might be waiting for a couple days, and then the book I was waiting for, the second Final Architecture book, came the next day. So I only read 2 chapters of it, and then I was like, I'm definitely continuing with Final Architecture, and I'll get back to it later.
So do you think you'll finish it before
meeting him? Unlikely, because he is, wait a sec. He is here day after tomorrow.
I'm assuming it's to promote Alien Clay.
It's funny, actually. I kind of know the people from the bookstore who are organizing it, and I wrote one of them today, and I was like, what is Tchaikovsky even doing Like your advertising for it didn't really say exactly what's going on. And he was like, actually, I'm not sure. He's probably doing whatever he wants. I think he may be doing a reading, and if so, it's probably Alien Clay. So it sounds a little chaotic. Hi, Brian. Sports ball. Okay, so he's just waving from his sports ball viewing, I guess. Loved Memories of Ice. Of course you did. How could you not love Memories of Ice? Starting House of Chains. Very good. I saw that you were stretching in your latest video to call that a spooky title. But the House of Chains that's being talked about is actually pretty spooky in a way. So sure, why not? Mitch is asking how many short stories you've read this month.
I have read 2 entire collections so far, totaling 25 stories between those. And then I have also read... Did I read an anthology? No, I am currently reading... Hold on. Stand by. Entertain yourselves. I'm pulling up my reading spreadsheet like a fucking nerd. So, sorry.
Which you are.
I am. It's true. I can't deny it. Let's see. Oh, okay. I take that back. So, Book of Magic. Let's add that one. So, 25 plus Book of Magic, whatever that one is. What did I do? I messed something up.
Thornall, to quickly answer your question, yes. Final Architecture is a trilogy. This is book number 3. So it's complete. I think if Pete has his way, and probably Evie and I as well, Adrian would spontaneously decide to write more because the universe is really cool and the characters are really cool, and it would be great if there were lots more Final Architecture books. But at the moment, it's a trilogy, and it is complete.
All right, I did the math real quick. I have read 42 stories so far this month.
Goodness, that was quite a short story month.
Two collections completed: The Long Valley by John Steinbeck and A Sunny Place for Shady People by Mariana Enriquez. I totally butchered that name. And then an anthology called The Book of Magic, edited by Gardner Dozois.
Dozois, yeah.
Sorry, I did the high school French pronunciation.
Which actually may be correct. I'm not sure. I have no idea. I've also looked at it and thought Dozoi or Dozois or Dozois, Dozois. I don't know. No idea. Very strange looking name.
Final Architecture is done. I'm not sure if you already pulled up that comment while I was distracted by looking at my...
I did. Yeah. It's a trilogy. It's complete. I'm reading the 3rd book.
Cool.
Sounds cooler than Sun Eater. For my personal taste in science fiction, as much as I liked Sun Eater, I would say it is cooler than Sun Eater. Yeah. If only because I really enjoy the Motley Crew, and it jumps around in perspectives quite a lot, every couple of pages usually. And Sun Eater is so focused on a melodramatic sad boy.
It's more character focused, and it sounds like, from everything I've heard about Sun Eater, it's more Rockio wears his inspirations on his sleeve.
Very much. Although I must say Tchaikovsky does as well. Like, I started reading this and I was like, oh, this is Farscape meets Firefly
To be fair, I haven't seen any of those.
Okay. You're not aware of his influences.
Again, I'm an awful person.
His influences are very much there.
Yeah.
Very, very much there. Yeah.
I still haven't finished that first episode of Firefly. I'm so sorry.
You're lucky Derry's not here. Yeah, no, for me, who I am a nerd for all of these things, as soon as I started reading it, I was like, oh, like this is Firefly with aliens, because Firefly is all people, humans. It's very much Farscape, which does have a bunch of aliens, and there's a character in Farscape who's almost the same or very has a very strong feeling of Solus, the character from Final Architecture. And I've actually talked to Adrian about it on Blue Sky. We've been pinging each other. I started pinging him about his books, and then we started pinging each other mostly about video games, and he's a complete nerd. And
I mean, considering 90% of his Blue Sky like messages are about Warhammer, I mean,
yeah, he posts a lot of, I painted these minis this weekend, and everything else is like Slay the Spire, which is the video game that we're both playing. But he very clearly said, Firefly, Farscape, and Blake 7, which is a really old sci-fi show from the late 70s and early 80s, which I watched when I was a kid. And yeah, you can see his inspirations very clearly, but Rockio, it's a bit, his influences are a bit heavy-handed in places. There's one particular part, like if you've read Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe, there's a particular part of Sun Eater that comes up where I was like, really, dude? Are you really just doing the thing that Gene Wolfe did? Like, I think you're muted, Evie.
Oh no, I wasn't even doing anything. I was just like,
you like you were making
I'm gonna lift this thing, boop, put it in my book.
It's a bit more than inspired by, you know. It's like there's a whole chunk of, there's like a whole culture of Sun Eater that is pretty much lifted wholesale out of Gene Wolfe. But still good books. I really enjoyed them, but I'm not as maybe over the top crazy about them as some people are. Although I did read like all of them in 5 or 6 weeks. But the Final Architecture is, if you like Firefly, you liked Farscape, you like Motley Spaceship Cruise, you like some epic action and politicking and intrigue, and it's really good. I'm very much enjoying it. That's a good question, Colton. What is your excuse, Evie?
Well, when I haven't been reading, I've been playing Dead Cells to turn off my brain. So
Dead Cell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dead Cells.
Dead Cells.
It's a roguelike.
Yeah.
RPG, whatever it's called. I don't know about video games. I'm just like, ooh, I can do this thing over and over again. The whole point is to die and just replay the game. Cool. Awesome. I don't play games for the story. I play games to actually kill stuff. So
yeah, fair enough. I've been playing Slay the Spire, which is also roguelike.
Ooh. You probably mentioned that, and I totally.
It's a rogue. Well, it was before you joined on screen. I think I mentioned it right at the beginning of the stream. It's a roguelike deck builder.
Oh, this is the one. Okay, I'm like, oh no, that seems. To be fair, I've never really done like deck building stuff, but like, I don't know, I like the combat stuff, the deck building stuff, the strategy type things. I'm just like, my brain is too small.
It's not really strategy. I mean, there is a little bit of long-term thinking, because as you're building your deck, you're kind of like thinking ahead to fights you might have in the future. You know what the boss this level is, and if you know the boss, you know how he works, then you know it's better to have certain cards than other cards, that kind of thing. But
to answer your question, Tharnell, about where have I been, or I'm assuming you're asking me because your previous thing was about short stories, but stories. I've been here this entire time. Probably. I mean, I'm assuming you're younger than me, so I've been here since even before you were born. So yeah,
I definitely have.
But in response to Matt, but of course, Gene Wolfe had his sources, his genius is in synthesis and putting those elements in service. That's with anyone. So, like, I mean,
Nobody comes up with something completely new.
I'm not shitting on anyone for however overt their inspirations are in whatever their creative endeavor, because everyone's art is informed by others' arts before them.
Yeah, and the difference I would say is Gene Wolfe includes a hell of a lot of influences, not just from other authors, but from culture, religion, all sorts of things, which he does very smoothly. And nowhere did I feel like, oh, he just took this whole chunk of somebody else's story and put it in his story. And a couple of times I had a bit of a feeling of that with Sun Eater, so guess who it is? Sorry, it took a while, Britton. I'm still getting used to Restream.
I was about to say, you got a new thing going here.
Yeah. Got pissed off with StreamYard.
What's wrong with StreamYard?
They more than doubled the price of their cheapest plan.
Oh, I use it for free. You can't do that no more.
No, you can do the free. Yeah, but if you want to customize things a little bit, like I've got the logo up here and all that kind of stuff, then you need to pay for it. And if you pay for Restream, you pay $19, and if you pay for StreamYard, you pay $45
for the equivalent,
for the same level
of access.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about influence, I mean, Harold Bloom talked about a thing called the anxiety of influence, which is all about what you guys are talking about.
Sure.
So there's nothing new under the sun, as it's said.
Thornall. Any book series that resembles Stargate, the gods are aliens, would be preferable.
I'm out on this one. I've never seen Stargate.
May I direct you to Roger Zelazny's Lord of Light, which I've done a large, in-depth review of. That is the gods. Yeah, that one.
Hindu mythology.
Yeah, it's not aliens that are gods, but it's weirder than that. But the gods, there are gods in it, and they are not actually gods. I don't want to spoil too much. He's also got one that's based on Egyptian mythology, which I haven't read, called something Light and Darkness, I think. Yeah, Daniel agrees. Lord of Light. And it's a really good book. It's weird in its structure. It's a bit strange in its structure. It helps maybe. Oh, you've already read Lord of Light. Okay. Then I don't have to sell it.
My friend Timo really likes that book.
It's a cool book. It's a really good book. I mean, I probably liked it more than average because it's largely about Buddhism in a way, and I'm a Buddhist. So it was referencing all sorts of stuff where I could go, oh, I know that. But yeah, it's a very cool book. But I want to read his. I'm forgetting. Could someone in the chat look it up, or if Thornall, if you're a big fan of Mr. Zelazny, what is his Egyptian gods book called? It's something Light and Darkness, I think. I can't quite remember it.
Creatures of Light and Darkness.
Creatures of Light and Darkness, exactly. And it's from what I've heard, it's something like Lord of Light, but it's Lord of Light is based on Hindu mythology and the Hindu pantheon of gods, and Creatures of Light and Darkness is more an Egyptian book. Also read Creatures of Light and Darkness. Okay. I haven't. Our whole civilization worships a holy boot, not a holy book, apparently.
I mean, holy book would be,
pretty normal.
There would be like a meta thing happening that's there, and that sounds interesting.
Like Earth standard, but holy boot, apparently.
Holy boot.
Yes. Okay.
Sounds like a, like a the curse or whatever. Like, holy boot!
Or something that people in Monty Python films would yell at each other or something.
What are you reading, Britton?
What are you reading, Britton?
Well, I did just complete Return to Edan, so I am happy to say I am also very sad because I really enjoyed the series, but I finished Return to Edan. I'm also reading Liam's book. Liam Lyceum put out a book called Dreamer Awake, so I'm going to hopefully finish that today. And then after that, I'm going to be going full horror all month because October's coming up. So
Yay!
That's also a Zelazny thing. I think I wanna grab one of his books for October because
He does
I've got-
horror too?
it's not really horror.
you're gonna do a night
It's-
in Lonesome October because
Exactly.
I wanted to read that one.
Exactly. It's I couldn't even tell you what it is because I haven't. Wait a sec. A Night in the Lonesome October. It's divided into 32 chapters, each representing one night in the month of October. Story is told
but
first
darn all,
person.
I do this every October, so
Yeah.
don't worry, I got videos coming soon.
Yeah. Very influenced by Lovecraft, apparently.
Hoping to-
Nominated for a Nebula Award.
I'm hoping to do a discussion about Lovecraft on my channel during October, so that should be fun.
Cool.
It's gonna be busy. It's gonna be a busy October.
Yeah. I've got a lot of role-playing stuff coming up in October.
Are you going to the castle again? What are these
Not in
weekends?
October. Beginning of December, I'm going to the castle again.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'm like, oh yeah, Matt, I am going to be reading the final Hellboy short story volume I have here. So
cool.
thought you should know about that because I know you're a big Hellboy fan.
Enjoy. Yeah.
I loved the first one. I loved it. Like all the stories in those were just delightful.
Everything Hellboy is awesome. You cannot go wrong with Hellboy.
That's
I mean, except the movies, of course. The movies are pretty crap. And apparently the newest movie is so crap, it's going straight to video.
Poor filmmakers. They can't get Mignola's style right. Well, I think Del Toro did, but people are still griping about it for whatever reason.
No, visually, I thought the Del Toro Hellboy movies were actually pretty well done. Like translating Mignola's style visually, I just thought they were pretty poorly written and not that interesting. No, October, I am running Scum and Villainy, which is basically Final Architecture, the role-playing game, in a way. I mean, it's a role-playing game inspired by parts of Star Wars, lots of Firefly, Guardians of the Galaxy, that Motley Spaceship Crew vibe. And I haven't run a game in a long time. So this is a getting back to running games for me, which is exciting. And I'm also running a game at a small convention in Berlin, which is the first of its kind, which is organized by some friends of mine. They decided that Berlin doesn't really have a good role-playing game convention, which is weird. Or maybe they decided they wanted one that was more English focused. Either way, they're running the first one, and I'm running Mothership, which is basically Alien, the role-playing game, where a crew goes to investigate something that turns out to be a horrible thing that kills them all. More or
Wow,
less.
shocker.
Yeah. And it's really playing into all of those sort of tropes from movies like Alien or The Thing or whatever.
Apparently, well, I am happy to say I will be starting at least Gardens of the Moon next year. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, if you're into Conan, there's plenty of Conan-ish stuff to enjoy in House of Chains.
Yes, I know
Um,
that. Yes, I know that. I think Erickson is a Howard fan. So
Yeah, but he's like everything he does, he's taking the barbarian tropes and turning them up to 11 and also turning them upside down. So his barbarian character is kind of famous as being the character in all of fantasy that you probably should hate but can't. Like, I think a lot of people start out hating Casa, who is this character. Start out hating Casa because he's a barbarian, and he is realistically a barbarian. He does some really horrible things. And like, you get to the end of his section in that book or into another book after that, he is a recurring, ongoing character. And eventually you're just like, I feel like I should hate Casa because he's done such horrible things, but he's just so epic and I kind of love him. And he's a lot of people's like sort of favorite character in all the books. So Mystery Walk by McCammon. I need to get to more McCammon.
I'm hoping to read Speaks the Nightbird by him.
I've got it on my shelf, ready to be read at some point.
Wait, didn't you two do Boy's Life?
We did.
And I was supposed to read Swan Song this month, but I actually might try to squeeze it in next month. Geetsy.
Does this look like a cat that likes to be picked up?
Nope.
Nope.
Looks like she might scratch your eyeballs out.
She will not.
To be fair, 80% of
will
cats
wiggle.
don't like to be picked up. So.
She's actually being very peaceful. Okay, now she's getting sick of it. I've had enough. Put me down.
Anyways, on that note, do you guys
Sorry,
want
Fitz.
to sprint?
Yes. I was thinking the same thing. So let's go until 1:15. Save. Show. And please mute yourselves and enjoy your reading. Hello.
It's getting a little intimate in here, Matt.
Well, I remember when I did the first couple of pubs, and after a reading sprint, I came back and said, "Hi!" And lots of people said, "You shocked the hell out of me. Don't do that." So
Yeah, no, it's
I try and make it a little smoother and softer.
yeah, it is very smooth, I have to say.
So Evie has abandoned us, and I think I might call it as well
Oh,
because it's late here, and I'm going to go watch some Stargate.
are we watching Stargate?
Not rewatching. I never watched it back in the day.
Oh,
I never watched it the first time. So
I have never seen Stargate, so I don't know anything about that.
yeah, I've been catching up on some of my nerd television that I somehow just didn't watch back in the day, partially because I kept moving from country to country. And like in Australia, I watched a lot of Doctor Who, for example, the old original Doctor Who, which wasn't being shown in America at all at that time, I think. But then I missed other things. So I recently watched all of Buffy, which I never watched back in the day, and Farscape, and now I'm watching Stargate.
Well, Tharnal asked what you guys are planning to read this October. These, hopefully, many of these. So there you go.
Okay.
There will be a video on my channel talking about it, so don't worry. You'll get more specific.
Speaking of what we're gonna read, and we were speaking earlier about Mignola. I got Mignola's cover anyway, and one story he did of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, which is comic book
stuff.
Adaptations of
It's hard to go wrong with Liber.
12, 13 different stories taken out of the first couple of books, and should be fun. I would like to read it. It's new. It just came out recently from Dark Horse, and I've still got BPRD to get to. Forgive me, Thornall, but yeah, I haven't quite gotten there yet. I need to finish my Hellboy reread, which I keep not doing.
You know, a lot of people like to shout out the Lovecraft influence on Mignola, but a lot of people don't seem to notice. Like he's very inspired by like a lot of sword and sorcery. You know, like Conan, Elric.
Yeah, ish. I would say he's more inspired by early pulpy comics. Like The Spirit and that kind of stuff. Like the style of story, the style of action, and having a basically superhero protagonist who is always making sort of funny comments and stuff like that is very early comic book days. And the story, at least in the Hellboy stuff, is very much Lovecraftian.
Also, Evie, tell me how Our Share of Night is. I thought about checking that out because apparently Alan Moore spoke pretty highly of it, so it intrigued me.
Who knows? I've never read it, so I can't say, but I'm sure she will. Anyway, I'm going to call it and drop out for the evening. It has been a pleasure. Everybody who joined, good to see you every week. I hope
always fun hanging out, Matt.
Yeah, likewise. I hope everybody has an awesome week. And as far as I know, should be public